we need to realize if we turn out, if we vote, we can win. We've got the right message. I feel I'm the right candidate. I feel like I represent this district well. I represent the people of the 4th Congressional District. I am them.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hi, it's Diana, and welcome back to the Clay County Speaks podcast, episode 6. Today we have a special guest with us, Michael Kirwan. He's running for the District 4 State Congress position, which covers all of Clay County, all of Nassau County, and Duval County. Hopefully I said that right for the people of Duval. I don't want anyone to come for me for that. But it covers the Duval west of the river. So that's a huge area. He is running against the incumbent Congressman, Aaron Bean, whom has quite the reputation around these parts, and it's not a very good one. But we're going to be discussing Mr. Kirwan. Can I call you Michael?
Absolutely.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. So we're going to be discussing Michael's policy ideas, stances, and answering some questions that we crowdsourced from his potential constituents. But most importantly, we're going to learn about Michael as a person, because that's actually the most important part of this. We frame these podcasts as conversations, not debates. So let's talk about it. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This is a delight. So
perfect.
I love the opportunity here to join you.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. Tell us about your just a couple of things, like just to get to know you a little bit better. Like your background. What do you like to do on the side when you're not campaigning, like as just like a normal person?
Sure. I'm happy to. Well, running for the U.S. House of Representatives is a pretty time-consuming task. So there's not a lot of time to be enjoying the day-to-day things. So if you ever consider running, be mindful of that. I'm a 4th-generation native to Jacksonville, so I've grown up in this community, and I really understand the various neighborhoods and the people that live here and the history of what makes this community tick. I am married. My wife and I have been married for 37 years.
Wow,
and
that's how old I am.
Oh, well, very good, very good. Well, we've got 2 grown sons, and they're both single, so just throwing that out. So, okay, too late. So they're 33 and 29, and one lives here in Atlanta, and one's up. The 29-year-old's in Atlanta, and the 33-year-old's here in Jacksonville.
Oh, nice.
And so they've been not only wonderful sons, but great advisors on this campaign, because, you want the best for your sons. And we've had some great conversations, not only about the campaign, but also just about what they're going through in getting established and what their struggles are, et cetera. So
there's lots of struggles.
Exactly. And so that's been
the struggle is real.
Good family discussions to have. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right. But would you do any, you got a hobby?
A hobby? I love to read. I love puzzles. I'm a sports fan, so I follow a number of teams, et cetera.
What teams?
The Jaguars, of course.
Oh, of course.
And so this is the year, but I am a long-time diehard. I go back to 95 when they first came to town.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so long suffering. And it's so exciting because normally this time of year, my sons and I, we are looking at the draft and figuring out who we're drafting. And actually, we usually start that process in October. But this time, we haven't had to think about who we're drafting, et cetera. So it's been
honestly,
a great season.
I know -10 about football. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I have no idea what drafting means.
Okay, okay. Well, we can talk about basketball too if you
Oh
like. I'm a
no,
big
we
basketball
don't. I
fan.
don't do the sports things.
Okay.
Oh no,
Oh,
that's
that's
okay.
okay.
No worries. It's all right. It
Okay.
is what it is.
Exactly.
It's just paper.
Exactly.
All right, perfect. So what's motivating you to run for office then?
At the beginning of 2025, I was thinking, I've got 4 or 5 more years of practicing law, I think, and then I'll look at retiring and focus on not only family but the community activities that I'm engaged in. But April and May came along, and it was one crazy executive order after another, just
Okay,
terrible
this
decisions
year, yeah,
after terrible decisions. This is 2025 we're
2025.
talking about. And what I saw happening in Washington goes against my beliefs, goes against my values, and it's eroding and destroying everything that this country has been built on. And I felt like that's not the direction we should be taking. My sons deserve better. They deserve a better future. They deserve a better tomorrow, and we all do.
Yeah.
And so I just felt that who's stepping up? I didn't see the right people stepping up, and I thought, okay, I can do this. And so I decided to retire from my legal practice and pursue this. And
Oh,
so,
perfect.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's a great answer. But you're running as a Democrat. Have you always been a Democrat?
No, I have
No.
not. Okay. I became a Democrat when I was a sophomore in college. So high school, I was a Republican. So if you want to go back very far, I was president of the Duke Democrats. Back in 1984, Jesse Jackson was very inspiring and led college students in registering voters. And I had a couple van loads of Duke students. We drove up to Harvard to hear Jesse Jackson talk and got really motivated. And we drove back to Duke and we set all type of voter registration records in Durham and Raleigh areas. And so that was a defining moment for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2016, I switched from being a Democrat to being a Republican to vote in the primary against Trump. And if
Okay.
more Democrats had done that, we wouldn't be in the mess we are today.
I'm not
And
gonna
so,
lie. I mean, I've
yeah,
been a Democrat for quite some time, actually.
okay,
But I actually didn't know in 2016 that you could do that.
yeah. So
I
after
wasn't aware.
voting in the primary, I switched back to being a Democrat.
Okay.
So, uh, so blame me for not being 100% Democrat from birth,
No, it's
but
okay.
yeah.
No,
So yeah.
you're allowed to like switch it up. It's okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Well, oh,
no one's
good.
gonna get mad at you
Yeah.
for
So,
that. I mean, I'm literally married to a Republican.
whew.
Sorry,
Well, I
but
think
that's okay.
I think
He's a good one.
bipartisanship's important,
Hmm.
and I think there's a lot of couples that match your profile there.
Yeah,
And you know what?
not
That's
everybody's
okay.
bad.
But we got to figure out how to get along, and we typically have. It's only the past few years that we've become so polarized, and we got to do better.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so we let's go through some of your policies then. What are you planning on implementing, and how are you planning on implementing? Like, what are your action steps on that? Because there's a lot of people that like be like, I'm going to do this, 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 and this,
Yeah,
but nobody has like how they're going to
sure,
do that.
sure.
Just talk is cheap.
Yeah, and so one of the difficulties in being a congressman is you're in a legislative body. So you've got to get a majority of the House to support and pass whatever position you're trying to adopt.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to get your contemporaries in the Senate to do the same thing. And then you have to have the president approve it. Mm-hmm. If he vetoes it, well, then you have to try to override the veto. So legislation is not an easy thing. Congress has shirked more and more of their constitutional responsibilities over the past 40 years. Mm-hmm. And part of my objective is to have Congress resume their constitutional duties, take back their responsibilities, passing a budget on a timely basis, providing a check on the president's powers. Those are important things.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that Congress needs to do is actually work. You look at this Congress, Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, kept them out of Congress an ungodly amount of time.
I think they said it was somewhere like they actually only worked 87 days total in the year or something like that. Don't hold me to that. I don't know if that's the exact number. Okay, don't come for me again. So yeah, I think they said like 87 days for the year or something like that. And that's kind of nuts because they're getting paid a lot of money and they're working quite literally nothing.
Yeah, so the way the sessions are set up is generally in the calendar 12 months, they're out of session for at least 2 months. And then when they are in session, they're only working 3.5 days. Basically, they fly home Thursday night, they fly back Monday morning or Sunday night. And so they're not there, they're not doing the job. And so we need to change. We need Congress to actually be there working a full week. And you know what? Having a weekend in Congress is okay. We've got this mindset that Congress gets captured by the bureaucrats. They need to be home talking to their constituents. They need to be home every weekend. Well, you know what? I trust myself and I trust my fellow congressmen not to be captured by the bureaucrats. We need to be working. We need to have hearings. We need to do legislation. And they're not doing it.
Yeah, big facts. All right. What else? What other policies you got?
So on policies, in addition to changing how Congress operates, is we have to get back to what matters to the American people.
Mm-hmm.
And this is an issue-rich environment, okay? There are so many issues out there. And everyone's different and they all have different priorities. But fundamentally, what's important is how do you pay your bills? How do you provide for your family?
Mm-hmm.
How do you put a roof over your head? You pay your groceries. You pay for your medical insurance. You save for retirement. Those are the essential things. And so what are we doing about that? I don't think we're doing enough.
No. I'm going to agree with you there for sure. Basically, I don't have health insurance now because of whatever just happened. This is the first time I've ever had to go officially January 1st without health care because it literally jumped for me. I think it went from like $394 to $611 for the same health insurance. I think it's like 27 or 30% jump, which they could do more. So, but what would you do for somebody like me?
Well, I'm sorry to hear that was
don't feel bad.
your decision. No, I mean, you should feel bad. I mean, you need health insurance because everyone gets sick. Everyone needs insurance at some point. We need the Affordable Care Act to be extended. We need the subsidies and the credits that were cut to be restored. Because until we figure out how to lower healthcare costs, we've got to provide a way for the average person to pay for it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay. And so, any other policies that you have, or there or stances, or what are you trying to everything else that you're trying to run on?
Well, housing costs. Housing costs are very high, and for single-family homes, one of the reasons why single-family homes have increased so much in the past 10 years is because the cost of construction has gone up. The tariffs are not helping. The tariffs have driven the price for imported goods through the roof. That's playing an impact. But that's a recent impact on housing. About 10 years ago, 2015 or so, Wall Street figured out that they could buy up single family homes and do it profitably. And because the housing market is such a tight market, by introducing new investors, new purchasers, that has an impact on the price. It skews the price higher. And once a price goes up, buyers or sellers don't say, I'm going to sell my house for the average price. They're going to go for the highest price.
Mm-hmm.
Appraisers, they say, okay, what are comparable sales? So as soon as homes start going up, they all go up. The appraisals all go up. What we need to do is basically say institutions shouldn't be competing with families on starter homes or any other single family home. If they want to build homes, great. If they want to build single family communities and rent them out, that's fine. That's new housing. But they should not be buying existing single family homes. And there's about 5 or 6 real estate investment trusts out there that are doing this. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of REITs out there, public and private. They're a creature of our tax code. We can change the tax code, providing a couple of sentences that restrict the ability to buy existing single-family homes. Doing that will have a big impact.
Okay. So it's just a little tax code that needs to be changed, basically, and then you just have to get them to agree to that.
God is forbid. Congress, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, it's Congress.
Yeah.
Congress has to act,
Yeah.
okay? There are so many other things that we need to be addressing as well. As a young person, this probably isn't high on your list, but Social Security and Medicare, they've got to be properly funded. Both parties have been kicking this issue down the road, and it's causing the cost to fix the problem to continue to escalate. And just like health insurance, you're going to need Social Security and Medicare one day.
One day, yes.
And your parents are going to need it probably sooner than you.
They're already on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so
they're there.
Their benefit will get cut, reduced, if this problem isn't fixed. And it needs to be fixed.
Absolutely. All right. So we discussed your policies. I'm going to get into some questions that we had from your constituents.
Okay.
All right. So do you intend to hold town hall meetings in office or in person? As apparently the other one was not. Again, I actually just moved here not too long ago, so I don't really know much about Aaron Bean in general because he was never my congressman. But I guess he's not holding any sort of like town halls or anybody that in office or like face to face. Would you do that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I plan to do that as a candidate. And so people need to be able to converse with their representative. The representative needs to understand what their constituents are thinking. And, in fairness, congressmen get deluged with postcards and letters and emails. And it can be overwhelming, I think, to figure out what the individual constituents are wanting. And it's just simply some robotic campaign I'm being deluged with. So I appreciate that. But failing to show up and meet people one-on-one or in a town hall, whether it's a high school auditorium, a church, or wherever, and hear 200 people talk, and they probably won't all agree with you. And that's fine. That's what this country is about. But you need to understand what the concerns are. And so that's important.
Okay, so you would for sure.
Absolutely.
Cool. And so the next question I have here, the Democratic Party's approval rating is really low because Democrats are tired of the party's fecklessness and the inability to confront the Trump regime in a forceful way. Candidates are not listening to their constituents, which is, because they don't do town halls. And how do you plan on tackling that and gaining the trust back of people in your district?
Yeah, so I think people's faith and trust in political parties is low because both parties have failed to deliver for the average American. And the average American is not feeling like they're getting ahead. And they feel like the American dream is leaving them behind. It's not attainable. And that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
We got to do better. And so we're going to do better by winning elections. Democrats are not able to stand up against this administration, against the majority Republicans in the House and the Senate, because they're a minority. we're going to flip the House at least in this election. We're going to take back control. And by doing that, we're going to be able to stand up and put a check on the president. Congress is already providing a check, but we've got a rubber stamp Congress, a rubber stamp incumbent, Aaron Bean, that I'm going against. We need to get rid of these rubber stamps.
Yep, absolutely. But in order to get the Democrats to not be a minority, but how are you going to like gain? How are you gaining their trust back on it? Like your constituent? How do you plan on gaining their trust?
Well,
that you will be the one to change things.
Yeah. So again, Congress is a legislative body, and so you need to accomplish something collectively. Individually, I plan during this campaign, as well as when I'm an elected congressman, to have conversations, to talk to people. And I think by talking with people, going on your podcast, hopefully people will see, hey, Kirwan is authentic. I get him. I understand where he's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
He appears to understand my problems. And then we got to deliver.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Next question would be, how do you feel about the idea of taking away property taxes? And with your background in business and finance, where do you see them pulling the money from to cover the revenue shortfall?
Okay, well, thanks for asking that question. This is really a question that Congress won't deal with because this is a state issue.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that our state House and state Senate representatives need to address and stand up to. It's going to be on the ballot. It's going to be a referendum.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows whether it will be one referendum issue or 6 referendum issues. It looks like there's all type of possibilities that are going to be coming out on this. But I view this as a classic DeSantis ploy. He basically says, I'm going to take another person's money away. I'm going to take away their ability and stick them with the bill. Okay, we haven't heard how the localities are going to be funding their services because property taxes are essential to local governments.
Yeah.
And so how the state government can be stepping in and say, no, we're not going to allow you to have that revenue anymore. Well, that's awfully big of them to take away someone else's revenue. They're not touching their revenue streams. So I'm totally opposed to what's being talked about here. If they do succeed, and if voters somehow feel like, oh, of course I'll vote to eliminate a tax, we're going to have a problem. And how it gets funded is a big concern. You could raise the sales tax, but sales tax is regressive. So many people are saying, oh, well, the tourists are going to pay a lion's share of that. Well, no, they're not. If it gets too large, they'll stop coming. So many people have stopped coming to Florida already. We'll lose more.
Mm-hmm.
What's not being talked about is this a way to have an income tax? Or people ready for another income tax? And that's how so many states fund their government without the property taxes and the sales tax that we enjoy. So if DeSantis and other Republicans are secretly trying to maneuver us toward an income tax, come out and say it. I'm against it.
Okay. I mean, I agree with you on that because as much as I am a homeowner, but as much as I don't want to pay property taxes, I 100% understand that it goes directly into my community.
Yeah.
So like, what are you going to do about the fire department, just city parks? They're just going to go to shit. Like, you're just going to just like let them. I'm going to have to use my Yiddish word, the kvatchka. I'm going to kvatchka. It's just the one word that always comes to my mind for something that's just going to sit there and rot. That's basically what that means.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, you're probably right. That's what we will see. We'll see a lot more unmowed grass, a lot more litter,
mm-hmm.
a lot more garbage building up, fewer police, fewer
Yeah.
firemen, policemen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that kind of also leads me into the next question.
Okay.
I don't know if this directly impacts you, but do you support the APAC? Speaking to Jews.
At this point, I have no plans to speak with APAC. This is not on my radar.
That's not okay. So, but if it was on your radar, would you plan on would you like accept the money from them?
Again, it's simply not on my radar at this point. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So then what is your opinion on specific democratic reform? Uh, Specifically abolishing the electoral college or abolishing the filibuster, allowing non-party affiliated voters to participate in primary elections, implementing different voting systems like ranked choice voting. We can go over that. I know that was a mouthful.
Yeah, that was a lot of issues there. So if my memory serves, let me tick through them. Electoral college.
Yeah.
I think the time has now passed. I think having the president elected by popular vote would make sense. It would allow the presidential campaigns to focus on all 50 states and not just the 6 or 7 swing states. So I think every American has an equal right to decide who their leaders are.
Okay.
And I think that would go a long way.
All right.
So the next one was
abolishing the filibuster.
I'm against that. And I think the filibuster that's a rule in the Senate, U.S. Senate, that basically says you have to have 60 senators to bring debate to a close in order to move to a vote. And that rule throughout the history of our country has caused our Senate to be considered the greatest deliberative body in the world because compromise needs to be reached. Unfortunately, we're not reaching many compromises these days. But is that a problem of the filibuster, or is it a problem of something else? I think the filibuster should remain.
Okay. The next one was allowing non-party affiliated voters to participate in primary elections.
I think that is good. I think here in Florida, I think that's a state-specific question probably because lots of states already allow that. I think that would be good because independents representing a very sizable portion of our population. In the 4th Congressional District, I think they're like 22% of the district. So having them being able to weigh in on the selection of who the candidates are in the general would be wonderful.
All right, that's great because I also agree with that. And now the other one was implementing different voting systems like ranked choice voting.
Ranked choice voting has a lot of merit, I think, because it allows for a multi-party or a race with multiple candidates to have voters sort of almost be able to. I'm having a hard time describing it, but I know in New York City, Alaska, and some other jurisdictions they had it. So yeah, I'm in favor of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, do you support democratic socialism? Because I know that's like a big thing right now with Mamdani, and he just won in New York City.
I think the last thing that we need as a country, as a party, as just general people, are more labels and more ways to divide us. I think we don't need to come up with new labels to describe our politicians or come up with ways to divide us further. I think let's look at the policies of the candidates that are running and let's talk about what those policies are. I think we try to shorthand what people stand for by these labels. And I think that's a mistake. I think everyone has a range of views. I am sure you and I both have some thoughts that are pretty liberal and some that are somewhat conservative. And I think it's hard to pigeonhole yourself, I think. So yeah, I don't see the need for a new label.
Okay, that was a good answer. I'm okay with that. But speaking of democratic socialism, also, which is popular with the younger generation,
Okay.
this district is 50% minority, and this is a direct question.
Okay.
This district is 50% minority and millennials. How do you plan to reach them? Which because there a lot of them are leaning towards democratic socialism.
Again, that's a label. I think let's look at what the underlying issues or positions or policies that they want. And I'm reaching out to them through lots of meetings, lots of one-on-one encounters. My calendar is very full. My day, from the time I get up
Imagine.
to the time I go to bed at night, I am talking to people in person, over the phone. The amount of cups of coffee I drink is staggering. But as I believe I began our conversation today, I've got two sons. They're, I believe, in the millennial generation. They're 33 and 29. And so I know what they're going through. And guess what? I was once their age too. I once was young as well. And
Mm-hmm.
so I've gone through those experiences. And um, I know what it's like to scrape to pay off your student loans, to buy your first house, to uh, finance a car, et cetera. And I see what they're going through and the costs that they're dealing with, and so I get it. And so yeah,
Okay, are your sons helping you on this campaign?
they're helping me by giving me
Advice.
advice, thoughts. Dad, how can you say that? Or Dad, you should be saying this, et cetera.
Oh,
So
at least they're in like
yeah,
your ear, like telling you
exactly,
like, oh,
exactly,
for that
right,
generation. All
yeah.
right, beautiful. Now, so you've never you've never lived or worked in DC because you said you were a lawyer. You were a lawyer here, right?
Yeah, so I practiced as a business lawyer. I practiced with several different law firms. Um, they were national, or you could say international law firms. And so my practice as a business lawyer primarily involved securities. And so I dealt with the SEC a lot. I went to DC because we had offices there. I spoke at conferences.
Mm-hmm.
I was somewhat nationally recognized in several different areas.
Mm-hmm.
And my clients all came to me for advice, so I had to have a good grasp of what was going on in DC.
All right, so next question I have from another constituent. How do you plan to turn an R+5 district competitive? What would you do differently than past Democrats to actually make that happen?
Well, that's a great question, and that's what this whole race is about. How do we win? How do we get a Democrat in the office? How do we flip the House? An R+5 is not an insurmountable district. Okay, well, that simply means is the district votes Republican 5% more than the average congressional district. If you look at the number of registered voters and their party affiliation in the 4th congressional district, Republicans outnumber Democrats by 4.5%. That is not a large number.
Mm-hmm.
Independents make up 22% of the district. If you win independents, get a good turnout by the Dems, you win. I'm going to pick up at least 5% of the Republicans because so many Republicans are saying, this is not what I signed up for. We've worked too hard as a people and our forefathers to build this country to see this destroyed. They're going to support. So I am spending all my time and effort going out, talking to people, not only hearing what their issues are, but convincing them this can be done.
Mm-hmm.
The strategy that the local Republican Party has drilled into everyone's heads is, oh, this is conservative country. Don't try. Democrats, don't try. Don't turn out. Well,
I think they're just scared.
exactly. We need to realize if we turn out, if we vote, we can win. We've got the right message. I feel I'm the right candidate. I feel like I represent this district well. I represent the people of the 4th Congressional District. I am them. We can do this.
All right. Well, I love that. I love that answer. We got one more question. On current recent events, I would like to know where the constituent said, we would like to know your stance on what went down with Venezuela.
Wow.
What do you feel about that?
Again, it's so typical. Every day there's a new issue, new controversy. Breaking norms is just this what happens with this current administration. I think on Venezuela, it's a mixed bag. You have to applaud the fact that Maduro is no longer in power.
Right, because he was a piece of shit.
Yes,
Yeah.
unacceptable dictator. He opposed the election results from the prior election. Everyone recognized that election should have gone the other way. He has been a brutal dictator. So kudos to his removal.
Yeah,
But
you can't even deny that.
we are in a point where now we're in this. And so we can look back in 2020 hindsight and say, how come Congress wasn't consulted? Why did the Trump administration consult the oil companies before Congress?
Mm-hmm.
We've got stuff out of whack here. We've lost our values. We've lost how
the
things
plot.
or should be done.
Yeah.
So we are in nation building once again. This is an administration. This is a Republican Party that ran on the fact that we were going to be America first. We weren't going to interfere in other countries. We weren't going down nation building. What are we doing? This is an example of us moving away from the rules-based order that we worked so hard to establish after World War II to simply a might makes right type of rule. This administration is basically agreeing with China and Russia to divvy up the world in 3 different spheres. That this is not good. This won't end well. We need to fix this soon.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. I personally, this is my own personal feelings on this. We already know I said Dirk was a piece of shit. Why didn't you go about why didn't you go about that the correct way? Why did you have to be so shady and do it at 3:00 in the morning on like a weekend?
Yeah, I'm not going to second guess a military strategy. I'm not going to second guess our troops, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a process, and Congress would support a well thought out, justifiable mission. I am confident of that.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't the administration trust Congress to do that? The retort that came out was, oh, they're a bunch of leakers. So they rather trust private oil companies than Congress? That's bizarre.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the whole thing is actually very bizarre.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to be pretty much it. I've got no more questions for you.
Okay.
Hopefully I wasn't mean or anything.
No, this was most enjoyable. So I appreciate the opportunity to meet with you and talk to your viewers here. So thank you.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for being on here with us. And we really dove into some really interesting topics and some discussions. And thank you so much for going really in detail on certain things. Thank you for that. Instead of just sweeping things under the rug like some people might do. So thank you to our listeners. And if anyone who is tuned in to watch this, if you like what you're seeing, please like, share, subscribe, comment. Use all of those little buttons on the bottom. We'll, somewhere down there on this video. And tell us what you think. So, and we have some really great upcoming podcasts as well. So you should watch out for those. Until next time, okay, bye.